America is often called a nation of immigrants. In the so-called golden era of migration around 1900, about 1 in 7 people was born outside the U.S. Numbers then dipped, but immigration has climbed back up to a similar number today. These numbers are lower than in countries like Canada and Australia. The system for legal permanent migration to the U.S. is based mainly on family ties and employment pathways. About 1 million people a year are issued a green card that gives them permanent residency. Caps determine how many green cards can be issued in each category, and there are limits to ensure that no one country of origin dominates. These caps haven't been updated in more than 30 years, when the economy was half its current size. This means there can be long green card queues even for people with family ties or an employer who wants to sponsor them. For most people around the world without a family connection or higher education, there is virtually no way to qualify for a U.S. green card. The second category is temporary migrants. Millions of people come to the U.S. to study or work each year on a temporary visa, and most do not stay long-term. Third, there's a category of immigrants that are living in the U.S. without legal status. This includes around 12 million undocumented people living in the U.S. who cross the border without going through U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or who overstayed a temporary visa. It is believed that at least 600,000 immigrants crossed the border without detection in 2022 and 2023. Finally, there is a category sometimes described as having twilight status. This group has grown substantially in the last couple of years. When people are fleeing violence or persecution in their home country, they have the legal right to pursue an asylum claim. The past 2 or 3 years, millions of people have arrived at the southern border, many expressing fear of returning to their home country. These claims take months or years to adjudicate. Especially since mid-2023, those deemed to have a reasonable chance of winning their asylum case have been screened and allowed into the country while they wait for the courts. In the meantime, they can apply for a work permit. In addition, the administration has set up humanitarian parole programs so that citizens of countries in crisis like Ukraine, Nicaragua, and Venezuela can enter without having to face a dangerous trek to the border. These parolees have a 2-year window to seek asylum or other immigration status. Net migration, entries minus exits, to the U.S. may have been as high as 3.3 million people in 2023. That number far exceeds the 1 million or so that was typical in the 2010s, and it's even much higher than experts projected for 2023 as recently as 2019. While that number is just an estimate, it is clear that immigration has substantially increased in recent years. New immigrants are often fleeing horrific conditions and bring very little with them. Some host cities and towns are feeling the fiscal strain of providing for immigrants' basic needs. Despite this, recent studies document the critically important role that immigrants have played in the rebound of the American economy after the COVID-19 pandemic. My recent analysis with Brookings Senior Fellow Wendy Edelberg suggests 2023 migration led to higher GDP growth and a boost of $48 billion in personal income. As the U.S. population ages and fertility declines, the labor market really relies on immigrants. Programs like Social Security and Medicare need a growing labor force to ensure long-term stability of those programs. Immigration is a critical element of America's continued economic growth.